Hey, this Eric, man, coming to you with a little video, man. Yeah, man. I'll be reading my scriptures and everything, and man, I just found something last night that really made a whole lot of sense to me, man. I just never really, words is really deeper than what you really think. Like, words is really deeper than what you think. Man, it's crazy. But anyway, I just want to really go ahead and get off into what I was trying to show y'all here. And it really, I'm just going off into the word mistress. Like, the word mistress, man. Like, growing up, I always thought mistress was like the one that the man was cheating with or something like that. Mistress was kind of like a downgraded type of, word. Like, it wasn't, man, I'm just gonna just get off into what this word means, and hopefully it was edifying to whoever, is watching this video. But, I'm gonna go ahead and get off into Genesis chapter 16. Genesis chapter 16. And, it's about Hagar and Ishmael, when Ishmael was born, because he was born of Hagar, the bond servant. But, I mean, you can read that story another time for whoever would like to read it, but this is the most important part. This is what I want to focus on right here. It shows here where Abram's wife took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. See what I'm saying? Her mistress was despised in her eyes. Because, Sarah is Abraham's actual wife. And Hagar was just a handmaid, a servant. And when Abraham went into Hagar, that's what Sarah had wanted. Because earlier in the word, like up here, Sarah couldn't bear children to Abraham. You see, she says here, and said unto Abram, Behold, now the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened unto the voice of Sarah, which is his wife. But, she's also his mistress, because they also have servants. And the servant is supposed to do what the mistress says, because the mistress resorts authority over the handmaid. And that's what really, because like I was talking to my elder last night, one of the elders I talked to, and he swore up and down, he looked at this like it was a situation where it was adultery done here. But right there where it says, and Sarah said unto Abram, Behold, now the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarah. That was a instruction. But the big part of all of this is the mistress. Let's just read chapter 16 and verse 4 again. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. The mistress is Sarah, And that's just a big thing. I just want to go ahead and look up the word mistress now. I just want to go ahead and look up the word mistress. Mistress. Definition. Now look at that first definition. It says a woman in a position of authority or control. You see what I'm saying? I always thought of this second definition here where it says a woman having an extramarital sexual relationship, especially with the married man. See, that's the definition of the world. But the number one, the original definition of mistress is a woman in a position of authority or control. And that's really what a mistress is. You know, like right here where it says, what does it say here? It says here in this area here, it shows a woman who has power, authority, or ownership, such as the female head of a household, the mistress of the house. See, because the mistress is the number one of the house. What does it say? A female head of household. So the female head of the household is a mistress, a woman who employs or supervises servants. So that can be a boss at your job. She can be your mistress. The servants were required to do their mistress' bidding without question. And that's exactly what Hagar had to do. That's exactly what Hagar had to do. She had to do her mistress bidding without question. Because here, back in chapter 16, Sarah had told Hagar what to do. It says here, and Sarah, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband, Abram, to be his wife. And he went unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. See, Hagar started despising Sarah because Sarah couldn't have kids. Well, not necessarily, because she did have kids later, like way later, when Abram was 100 years old. But I'm going to continue to read. And Sarah said unto Abram, my wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judged between me and thee. But Abram said unto Sarah, behold, thy maid is in thy hand. You want to know why? Because Hagar is Sarah's servant, maid servant. Sarah is the mistress. What does it say? Let me highlight this. But Abram said unto Genesis chapter 16 verse 6. But Abram said unto Sarah, behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleases thee. And when Sarah dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. See, Hagar ended up having a kid. You know, she got puffed up, feeling some type of way because, you know, her mistress had asked her to do something that she felt like the mistress couldn't do. You see what I'm saying? And she fled from her because, you know, I guess she wanted to keep the child. But I'm going to continue to read. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain, talking about Hagar, because she fled. Genesis chapter 16 verse 7. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way of Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarah's maid, whence camest thou? And whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress. You see there? Sarah. I'm going to read that again. Genesis chapter 16, verse 8. And he said, Hagar, Sarah's maid, whence camest thou? And whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress, Sarah. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands. You see what I'm saying? See how powerful that mistress is? And the angel of the Lord, I'm going to continue to read Genesis chapter 16, verse 10. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the Lord is basically going on to how Ishmael became a nation. But I just was basically breaking this down because I wanted y'all to see the importance of a mistress and the power that is in a mistress, because there's power in that. This is what a mistress is: a woman who has power, authority, or ownership, such as the female head of a household, the mistress of the house, a woman who employs or supervises servants. The servants were required to do their mistress' bidding without question, and that's exactly what Hagar had to do. She rebelled a bit, but she did do what she was told to do, but she did try to run off. But that was just something I learned, and I was trying to, just basically bring that out. That was just something very big, and that was just something I learned. You just reading over that Genesis chapter 16, and I just wanted to share it. So I hope it was edifying. To the next video, Shalom.